Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me get my timer going. All right, I'm Carolyn Nice, and I'm the founder of Nice Move. I have moved over 20 times in my lifetime and in counting. I'm an Army logistics officer who loves a logistical challenge. Moving is a big part of my life, and it's going to continue for a little while because my husband is still active duty. So we move every 2 to 3 years. In the Army, a logie is short for a logistics officer. No one notices when things like ammo or food or toilets don't show up, but when they don't, all of a sudden, everyone knows who the logie is. A little bit about my company. So Red Hulk Logistics LLC is doing business as Nice Move. It is a home-based technology firm. It's 100% woman-owned. I am a disabled veteran, and it's a small business chartered in Virginia as of March 2020. So I won first place in Georgetown's rocket pitch, had an article featured in the Georgetown website, and I was interviewed by ABC's Channel 9 Cincinnati News, and had an article featured in the Disabled American Veteran Organization magazine. So I came up with this idea after a meeting at the Pentagon, which was a meeting that wasn't about the meeting that I was in. So Nice Move, the original MVP, was built and put through beta testing, and it was the ability to track household goods on a moving truck with GPS capability. Because as service members, we don't really get so much service support on where the truck is. This MVP worked and it was made well. But what I realized, I didn't solve the problem. So the moving industry is a $9 billion industry with 81% of American households that actually move themselves. And I was kind of like, why wouldn't the 81% not want to use Nice Move? Okay, these are the two most important slides. So if you weren't awake before, wake up now. So in the Army, we say AAR, but for you civilians out there, it's called lessons learned. So I asked earlier, how could 81% of self-moving Americans not want to use Nice Move? Well, although the app was made correctly and it does what I wanted it to, I learned what I created was no good for the customer. I linked the GPS from the driver's phone to the customer's app. It wasn't good or convenient for the customer to ask the driver to track them. They didn't like it. Also, they use 3PL, third-party logistics, to share trucks. So the phone-to-phone GPS came with a lot of downfalls. And I was so impatient to put a product out there, I just built it. So I paid a consultant to research my customer. Yes, the most important part, I paid somebody to do it for me. And the data said I would make money in the first year. What I didn't do was survey and interview customers to see how they would feel about the product. So you see this cool little martini looking glass. I don't know if it was shaken or stirred, but that's pretty much. So at this point, I was in a proverbial fog. I couldn't figure out what the next move was. I knew I needed help. And this is where working the process in the program helped me. So through the conversation with my mentor, I was able to take a step back. And then I realized in order to be competitive in the market, I needed to find the smallest and most efficient GPS. But what I was creating in my head was my own salient characteristics of a GPS that wasn't even out there yet. The first MVP was a false start. So that's where I started. And then I realized I need to focus on a specific target market and ask for feedback from my customers. I was telling the customer what they wanted. The target market is right now service members who are moving. I learned to focus on my target market and to not change the target market. The updated customer surveys and interviews were important because my questions changed from the information I collected from the initial Nice Move app. So this information I get from launching MVP2, it will make or break the new business model, but at least I'm not in the if I build it, they will come phase anymore. So the purpose of MVP2 is to learn more about the customer. So I'm launching a simple A to B MVP to test a product market fit. So I partnered with Land, Air, and Sea, which is a US-based company, Then they offer a white label GPS service. So the next step for Nice Move is to establish product market fit and then finalize the Nice Move app. So I'm recruiting advisors who are familiar with government contracting and with SaaS. I'm at the end, so I heard an alarm go off.
You can wrap up. You can wrap up.
Thank you. There is a $20 billion household goods government contract awarded to KBR's Home Safe Alliance to take the operation away from U.S. Transportation Command. In the agreement, the military moves will require moving companies to track all inventory digitally. And I can see a B2B pivot in the near future in order to be competitive in government contracting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolyn. I love how open and vulnerable you were about the whole entire entrepreneurial process. You know, when you think about people who have been brought up in the military world where everything is organized and planned and whatever, this is probably the only part that isn't carefully managed, and you found that how to plug that hole. And I love the partnerships that you've been developing. So let's hear from your mentors about what they've seen as far as your progress. And since I sort of took over part of that mentor program, I brought up my part, but Howard has been absolutely incredible in really engaging with you. So Howard.
Thank you, Howard.
Yeah, well, awesome job, Carolyn. I'm very proud of your journey that we've taken here. As Jeff pointed out at the beginning, the purpose of summer launch is to pursue pivot or punt with your idea. And so the pivot or restart that you're going through is right on. And like I said, I'm very proud of you for getting there. What I would like everybody to know about Carolyn, if you don't know already, is that she has incredible grit. Combat veteran, Army reservist. Her husband's on a very long deployment. These take grit, and grit is incredibly important to be successful as an entrepreneur. So as y'all are finding out, entrepreneurship might look glamorous, but when you're down in the trenches, it is not. It's hard work. There's no certainty, and it requires grit and determination. So I love the grit and determination about Carolyn. She listens, she learns, she's very logical, which would make sense being in logistics, and she moves fast and gets stuff done. As she said, together we took a step back, and once we did that, we found it easy to see what Nice Moves was missing. Carolyn's cognitive biases had led her to skip a step, which was validating the problem. Ben brought that up in the first sentence of this discussion. It happens. She developed a solution. She paid for a very well polished MVP. It was a beautiful product, but she hadn't validated the problem. It was painful, it was costly, but it is repairable. It is the proverbial cart before the horse. So from this experience, two lessons are very clear that can be heeded by all, not just Carolyn. One, do not fall in love with your solution. You should fall in love with your problem and validate before moving on. And two, create the lowest fidelity, lowest cost MVP for customers so that customers can get the gist of what your solution is. Because the goal of the MVP is twofold: one, for the customer to understand what you're offering, and two, for the company to get feedback on from what the customer thinks and how they use your product offering. So. Awesome job, Carolyn. Happy to work with you anytime again, and wishing you much success in the future.
Thank you, Howard. Wise words were never said before. That basically puts a whole underline on the most important lessons that most entrepreneurs learn in their journey. So thank you for bringing that up.